Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. What I have here in front of you is a blank Power BI file. As a matter of fact, I have two blank Power BI files. There is just one slight difference between the two. This workbook here is actually pointed to a Power BI theme, while this one is just the standard Power BI file. And what I want to show you today is how when we create a table in the standard Power BI file, that table comes with default settings like colors, default text size, and font family. So this is the basic one that Power BI comes with. And any modifications that you want to make to this table, for example, if you wanted to match your company's color template, you'd have to do here in the Format Visual pane. So you can begin to change your table to have it look the way that you wanted. Now, let's take a look at the other workbook. In this workbook, I've applied a theme that I've created so that I don't have to do any of that formatting whenever I create a table. So let me show you how easy it is to just build a table and save myself all the time that it would take to format it. Now all I have to do is start to bring in my columns, and you'll notice that my table is already formatted with the font, the alignment, and any text or colors that I've predetermined. And if you're working with a template that you don't really like, it's easy to start to change this around. For example, this blue here I don't really like on the column headers. So let me go and pick a different color. I like this red color here. I'm going to go ahead and copy it. I'm going to go over to my JSON template. I'm going to paste the color that I want, save my theme, and then reload my Power BI file here. I'm just going to browse for that theme, connect to my JSON file, and there you go. Any table that's in this workbook will now have this theme applied. And as I begin to create new tables, these new tables will already come with that predetermined theme, and it'll give it that nice look and feel that I've already established. So what I'm going to show you today is how to add some code to a JSON file so that you can automatically get a predetermined table template. And we'll do it for a matrix as well in case you're working with a matrix table. So let's go ahead and let's get started. If you are new to the channel and are visiting for the first time, you can help me out by hitting the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you can stay up to date anytime I drop a new Power BI tutorial. I would greatly appreciate it as it helps out the content. So let's get started. Here I have my blank Power BI file, and what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and open a text editor. Here I have a blank Notepad++ text file, and we're going to start the very basic step of creating our theme, which is starting with a pair of curly brackets and open and a close curly bracket. And inside our curly brackets, all we're going to do is we're going to do a double quote, type in name, colon, and then this is going to be the name of our theme. I'm going to call mine DapperDashTheme. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And remember, this is going to be a JSON file, so go ahead and save it as JSON or add the extension JSON at the end. And once again, I'm going to name mine DapperDashTheme. And congratulations, you've just created your Power BI theme. Remember, this tutorial is to show you how to update a table and a table matrix. And I've added a link in the description to the Power BI resource website where they walk you through how JSON templates work. So let's navigate over there and I'll show you what we're going to be looking for. If you followed the link in the description, it should take you here. This Power BI documentation page is titled Use Report Themes in Power BI Desktop. It is a pretty large page, but we're only interested in working with our table and our table matrix. Feel free to browse this on your own time, but what I'm going to do is we're looking for a specific section, and I'm going to go ahead and find it. It's going to be titled Setting Visual Property Default. It's going to take me about a quarter of the way down the page, and if you notice this JSON code right here, this is the JSON code or the template that is used to determine the default visual settings. When I say visual settings, these are your graphs, your charts, your cards, your KPIs, your table, your matrix. So this is the template that we're going to follow. Go ahead and copy that code and we're going to add it to our JSON file. Right after our named theme, go ahead and hit a comma enter. I'm going to hit another space and go ahead and copy that code. And I'm going to walk you through what each of these items represent. This way you have an understanding of what you're doing and you can apply the same technique with any of the other visuals that you want to change. And the visual styles we're going to leave the same. This is going to tell Power BI that the following code is meant to update one of our visuals. And if we go back to the documentation, we can learn a little bit more about the visual name, the style name, the card name, and the property name. So if you read here for the visual name, the card name sections, we use a specific visual and card name. However, for the style name, it is always an asterisk. We're not going to worry about why. For the moment, we're just going to know that the style name is an asterisk. So I'm going to go back and make that change on my JSON code. Right where it says style name, I'm going to make that an asterisk. Okay, and let's go back to the documentation. And what we're going to be looking for now is what is a visual name. Remember, we want to apply this to a table and to our matrix. So where do we tell our template, our JSON file, that we're wanting to do this on a table? So let's scroll down until we find the visual name section. And it looks like I passed it here. Okay, visual name values. You'll see there's this table here. Okay, so right here, you'll notice the tables in this section define the visual names, the card names, and the properties. So this is the other three pieces that we were looking for. And so these are all the visuals inside of Power BI. And I'm going to help you out. The table that we're going to be working with, so the table in Power BI, is called tableEx. So go ahead and copy that, and we're going to move that into our JSON. So right where it says visual name, the visual we're working with is our tableEx visual. And now we got to go find a card name. And the card name is which section of your visual do you want to update. So for example, if we were working with a card, do you want to update the settings of the card itself, the card title, maybe the axis of a graph, the bubbles on a bubble chart? Or in our case, the main thing I'm looking to update are the column headers of our table. And you'll see that the first value in each cell is the JSON term. So this is what's going to go in our JSON file. The second value is the name of the card as seen in the Power BI desktop user interface. So if we go to Power BI and we go to our table settings and we go to the format your visual, the column headers here correspond to column headers here for JSON. So go ahead and copy column headers because that's what I'm going to change. We'll go back into our JSON file and we're going to replace our card name with column headers. So far we know we're working with a visual, we're working with our table, and we're going to be working on updating the column headers. And the rest of the JSON file is simply choosing which property you want to update and what property value do you want to give it. So moving back over here to the documentation, I'm going to go ahead and copy column headers. I'm going to do a quick search, and right here it'll take me right away to a section that outlines all of the different property values that I can update for my column headers. And the very first one that I want to update is the background of my column headers. So you'll notice there's this background color here, and that's just the display name. The actual JSON name is called backColor. So I'm going to go ahead and copy backColor. I'm going to overwrite this property name, and now I'm going to determine a property value. But when you're working with colors, there is a special call out. Let me scroll up and find it here. It's back towards the top. Okay, when working with colors, there is a special call out. The documentation tells me that colors use the following format, where your custom hexadecimal code replaces this color here. So what we're going to do is anytime that we work with updating a color of something, we're going to copy this JSON code. So go ahead and copy it because we're working with the backColor, and we're going to replace the property values with that JSON code. Now all that's left for me to do is to actually choose a color. So I'm going to go over here to this color palette. Let me just generate a few random ones, and I'll pick a color from here. So let me go ahead and grab this light green color. I'm going to copy the hex, go back into my JSON code, replace the F's here with my hex code, go ahead and save the theme, and now let's import this into Power BI. So in my Power BI file, up where it says View, we're going to go down and we're going to browse for themes, select the theme that you just created, hit open, and you'll notice that it automatically has applied the theme, and our table has already started to make some of the adjustments. So let's go ahead and update a few more things. Go back into the JSON code. I actually really don't like this color. I'm going to pick a little bit of a darker color. So let me grab this dark gray, copy the hex, overwrite the old line green, hit paste. Now inside of this section here, we're going to be working with properties that are associated only to the column headers. So hit comma, hit enter. Now one other property that I want to update is the font color. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my double quotes, type in font color, colon, and remember we're working with a color, so it's going to follow the same format here. Copy, I'm going to paste it, I'm going to overwrite this right here, and I'm going to overwrite it with 6 Fs because this is the universal color for white. Go ahead and hit save. Let's see what it's done to our Power BI template so far. I'm going to reload the template that we're working with. And there we go. So we've updated our column headers. We've updated the font color. Now I actually want to change the alignment. I want to have these centered. So going back into our JSON theme, hit comma, let's add another property. This property is called alignment, colon, and in double quotes, I'm going to go ahead and hit center. And the last thing I want to go ahead and update on here is the font family. So in double quotes, I'm going to type in font family, capitalizing the second F, close it, hit colon, and I need to select the font family here. For this one, I'm going to go with Segoe UI and Bold. Oh, and let's also change the font size. So comma, and then fontSize, colon, and for this one, I'm going to do a font of 14. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, go back, reload my JSON theme, and there we go. So I've gone ahead and I've updated most of the things on my header that I've wanted. And now, anytime that I go and I create a new table, I don't have to copy, I don't have to format Painter. All I have to do is select my new table visual, start to bring in my data fields, and my theme will automatically be applied to my table. Okay, so this is pretty good. Let me create a new sheet, and let's see what it's done with the table matrix. So in my table matrix, I'll go ahead and I'll bring in name, and I'll sum the weight of all of these superheroes in here. But you'll notice that my matrix does not look quite like my table. That's because we've only told our theme, our JSON file, to add these custom modifications to a table. But a matrix is actually titled differently. A matrix is separate. So let's go back to the documentation and let's see if we can find the matrix. So I'm going to go back and search for the visual name section, which is right here. And I'll help you out. The table matrix is called a pivot table inside of Power BI. So what I need to do is apply the same settings to a pivot table. So let me go back into my JSON file. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy from my tableEx down to here because all of it is within our visual styles. So I'm going to copy the tableEx. I'm going to drop down a few lines, paste it, and you'll notice that everything is still inside of my visual styles tags. And all I got to do here is I'm going to fix the alignment and I'm going to change tableEx to be pivot table to match what's inside the documentation. So all I got to do here is hit save, go back into Power BI, reload my theme. Oh, and it looks like we had an error maybe inside of our JSON file. Okay, yep. So what I noticed here is that we created the settings for the table, but because we're adding settings for the pivot table, we also have to add a comma. So this is a separate subsection inside of our visual styles. So make sure you split that with a comma. Hit save. Let's go back in here, reload this again. And there you have it. The same settings are now applied to our matrix as they are to our table. So if anyone within our company is using our template, whether they work with a table or with a matrix, they will have the same settings applied to their visual. And this allows me to make sure that work within my company is consistent. So if I'm working out of Arizona and I have a coworker working out of France, and we're both using the same company template, I can be certain that we're going to have the same look and feel to all of our visuals, and it's going to be company standards. So that's it. That's the tutorial that I wanted to show you today, is how you can leverage the JSON templates to save yourself the time of having to rebuild your tables, having to recolor, reselect your fonts. All of the changes are done within one file, and now this file can be applied to multiple workbooks. If you found this video useful, be sure to give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or encounter any problems, let me know in the comments. I try to reply as quick as I can get to it. I appreciate the chats in the comments. It's how we both learn. And I hope this helps you in your Power BI journey, and I'll catch you guys next time.